All right, the last thing I wanted to touch base on within this segment is the band switch. Um, Taking it apart, and so you can get to all the contacts and get them good and cleaned. Um, this one here is not as bad as the last one we did, but it's not good one either. Uh, so to take these things apart, you have to remove these tubes. These screws are that long, and these tubes, they're sized so that they will thread right on to the shaft of the things, and then they're capped off with double nuts, one on the inside and a lock washer and a nut on the outside. And the one thing you want to do before you take it apart is note the orientation of each of the wafers. What I do is take a small file and put a little notch in each of the even the ring for the detent, the little marble. Um, at the way it's oriented in the machine. Um, in my case, my diagrams denote this position as number 1, 2, 3, 4 around the shaft to number 12. So I ID the number 1 position on both on all 3 of the wafers, if you want to, if you will, the calling this a wafer. Now, what you will do is just take the nuts and washers off the assembly. Get them over there so that you don't accidentally knock them on the floor and they go into the abyss. Okay, and then loosen the second set. And get them in the same little spot, out of the way. Okay, now take your favorite tool and grip the little chinkawonky there. And this one's loose enough, and just thread it right off the shaft. Yeah, yeah, ah, mm. Ooh, I haven't odd that much since my last relationship. Yeah, we'll give it a couple of little extra turns. Come on, you can do it. Ah, there we go. Come on. You could dip this in a little magic solution of your own to kind of get the any of the yick out of it. See these little dimples they put in them? Well, there's a reason why there's those little dimples. Those are the ones that rub the threads so that you can thread the tubes on. Let's do this until we get it to the point past the little nub. Yeah, come on. Sorry this is taking so long. I want to get this portion of it at least along so that you can see what I do in order to start the process of taking those apart. Boy, that one there had a little buildup of globula on it. Now, once you get it to that portion, then you just take the shaft right out of the thing. Index it so that it's all the way to one side or the other, and note that in the back of your noggin. Now, the next set of tubes, you'll do the same thing too. To get access to the what I'll do is yeah, good thought. And be just a little careful with the wafers, how much you torque them, because you will break them. Not to scare any of yous off, but I mean, there's once you start delving in and getting your feet wet with it, you'll see that it's not a daunting a task as a lot of these guys make it out to be. They just don't want to go that far with it. And if it's your own radio, well, then you do what you will. Like the song says, if her daddy's poor, then do what you will. But if he's rich, watch out. He's liable to drag your ass through the court system. So, and it helps too to have you a diagram, and double check it, triple check it. In my case, I had to double check it, and then check it again to make sure that I covered all the bases, forwards and backwards, because what'll happen is you might forget something, and usually I do. Usually I do, and I catch it, fortunately, before any serious brain lapse, any additional brain lapse occurs. Because I've missed one thing here and another thing there, which I thought was this, and it wasn't. It was something else, and I got it corrected before any memory lapses. And it helps to take pictures too, so the more pictures the better. You put it in your archives, and say, oh yeah, I remember that. Shoot. Yeah. And the second time you do it, you'll have less fear of it. And then, like this particular radio here, this is the 6th one that I've done of this model. So don't be afraid to get your feet wet. Well, like I said, once you get your diagram and everything, and then it's every man for himself. um, and you'll be able to go through these in short order. Like I've already got the the cabinet sanded down to bare wood and ready for pre-stain. While taking care of some of this other loose end stuff, I do have the. I just sprayed the 729. Is it 729? No, the 7427 Firestone cabinet with its fourth coat of the second round. I thought I had the decals for it, but I didn't. I wound up realizing that today, and I had to put an order in for the thing, so it won't be here till probably midweek next week. So that one there will be, and the chassis is ready to go. It only takes me like 3 days, 3 maybe 4 tops, but typically 3 days to get a chassis done and ready to go. The cabinet, unfortunately, takes a bit longer. It's like, you know, what they say about obvious. So, once you get this off, note your notch, and there's a little, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little slot, if you will, right there at the pencil end, right there. Note the position of that on both of these, and note which faces forward and on each of these. I suppose it could only go one way if you're careful. With the looking at it from the back, the notches on these are on the left side of the bolt. But note the little slot in the wafer. This is the key to your switching in here. If it somehow goes and rotates around 180 degrees and you stick it back together and don't realize it, you got a problem. And you probably never even think about it either. I put it together the way I got it apart. Well, note that position in relationship to the axis of the bolts and the notch. And make sure it's in that approximate position when you go to slide it back together again. Because if you don't, you'll put your weenie in the dirt. So, and this other one, you can elect to take it apart the rest of the way if you want. I don't, because I can easily get to this without taking the rest of it apart. It just saves from having to thread these back on all the way, as you've seen, trying to get it off. And then dip your parts, brush them up real good with a little wire brush. I generally, on some of this delicate stuff, I use a brass one. Clean it up, rub-dub-dub in the tub, and let it dry off and everything. And then you can go back and either dress your wires, replace any of your wires that you want to replace, and other components if you so choose, and then you can put it back together, and it should be ready to rock until you're ready to reconnect the wires to it. And what I would suggest would be on the lugs that are going to be up near the near the top, so to speak. Get those wired on your lugs, on your switch first, and then that way you don't have to get down in there with your wire, your gizzy chingus, and your soldering iron, and your fingers, and to get in there to wire it. It'll already be soldered in and ready to go, and then all you'll do is dress them out to wherever they connect to. So I just wanted to cover base with that. I talked enough. I got to get this video put together. It's going to be a little lengthy one. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We're going to do the chassis next.